What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday, and I know this title's probably got you guys spinning crazy. I know some of you consider me to be like some sort of prophet or acolyte for Fanstoys as like the messenger of their greatness, and this video is going to be about how I have fallen out of love with Fanstoys. Personal video about my thoughts, my reasons, my situation, my feelings regarding it, and we're going to get to it in just a bit, but I have a tiny itty-bitty bit of housekeeping to do. For one, it was brought to my attention that the Windblade design for Bingo Toys was stolen, and the original designer behind it is a guy named Verart, V-E-R-A-R-T. I tried to find him, I couldn't find him. Maybe I had the wrong spelling of it, I don't know. But had I known that, I would have been much harsher in my review. Wherever that gentleman is, I want him to know that he has designed something beautiful, in spite of any issues that I had with it. It's a beautiful looking figure. Secondly, hope you checked out yesterday's video on Soundwave in the Taste. Just as a reminder, the blanket order is now open, and I do have some en route, so I can get some of these out to you before Christmas. If you want to contact me about it, you can reach me at bobbyskullface@gmail.com. Should be an easy one to remember. And with that, I think we can get into this. So let me be upfront and 100% clear. I think that Fanstoys makes the best transforming figures in the Transformer game, period, end of statement. I don't think that there's anyone better. I don't think there's anyone that sculpts better, paints better, builds better, etc. I don't think there's anyone better. But this isn't about who's the best. This is about me falling out of love with that company. And I want to simultaneously state that does not mean that I hate them. I'm quite fond of them. I like them a great bit. But the love, like all true things, one day it withered on the vine. So, this has happened to me for 3 reasons. And I'm just going to tell you those 3 reasons. And to be clear, this isn't about priority. They're not in any order. They're just 3 factors. But one of the reasons is the sculpt. Over the years, in an effort to kind of create this perfect G1 Sunbow cartoon representation, Fanstoys has sort of abandoned their personal style of aesthetics in exchange for tracing animators' line work. And with that, some soul has been lost. Some feeling has been lost. Some grit has been lost. There is a fine line, right? Because I, too, am after some sort of toon-inspired look. I'm just not after a literal translation. But a lot of their figures, through the years, in spite of trying to get closer to the toon, still have that Fanstoys feel about them. You can still see the artist behind the work, even though the artist is aiming at a bullseye that's someone else's art, right? The toon animators. You can still see their take. Some are subtle, like their Cyclonus and their Galvatron. Very toon accurate, but also you see the Fanstoys vibe to them. They have a heroic proportion. They have a bit of a mature, sophisticated head sculpt and attention to detail that surpasses the G1 animation. You can take a look at it and instantly tell that it's Fanstoys, even though it's very cartoon accurate. Now that's in a modern setting, let alone their early beginnings, arguably humble beginnings, with stuff like Quakewave, which was much more stylized, much more of their flair coming through, much more about Fanstoys' approach to the character rather than Fanstoys trying to recreate somebody else's character. Think about the Dinobots. If we had the Dinobots made by Fanstoys now, they would 100% switch the chrome detailings to yellow paint and gray paint in an effort to try to capture the cartoon aesthetic. And what we would lose from that is Fanstoys' arguable claim to fame production-wise. Now, we saw this just recently with the Blaster, right? The Blaster was advertised as having the chrome chest. People complained he has the yellow chest. I'm not here to debate whether or not that's the right or wrong answer. I see both sides of it. But what I am here to say is had that happened with the Dinobots, we would have Dinobots that would look significantly less than what they currently do. And it's that goal from Fanstoys of chasing that mark. Now, if we take figures in a modern era that are also further from the G1 mark, but some of their better representations, we don't need to go much further than to look at their attempt at Warpath, who doesn't really look anything like the cartoon whatsoever. He looks like Fanstoys reimagined what Warpath would look like. And guess what? It looks better than the cartoon. It looks cooler than the cartoon, more mature than the cartoon. It looks like a grown-up version of the cartoon. And it was that take that Fanstoys always had that made me fall in love with them aesthetically. It was like, what if Transformers came out now, but not for 5-year-olds, for 40-year-olds? God, that feels awful to say. And we're losing it. And almost every reveal that they've done since then tries to get closer and closer to a mark that I don't think they should be striving for in the first place. I'm a Fanstoys fan because I'm a fan of Fanstoys, not because I'm a fan of Sunbow animation. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2, character choices. Over the years, Fanstoys has had a very calculated approach in how they've selected what characters to do. And it's mainly been of two paths. Path number one was gaps left by Takara. From their early days, they didn't want to step on Takara's toes. I still feel like they feel that way now. I think it's obvious in some of their decision making. But they definitely wanted to build up a shelf around what Takara was doing. Now, you could make the argument that that's why they changed aesthetics, because Takara went for a more tuned aesthetic. And I wouldn't argue with that, except I would say that Fanstoys has built a strong enough following where they don't need to follow what Takara's doing. They can just do what they want to do. And their fans, like myself, would follow. But they've always had this approach of filling the holes, so to speak. However, in recent years, it seems as though more so their approach has been to focus on seasons 1 and 2. The old third-party trope that kills companies faster than you could turn your head. Because there is a finite number. You do get to the end of that road. Shout out to Boyz II Men. What Fanstoys has always sort of had the grace and class of doing is picking characters from across the board of Transformers between seasons. Now, you can make the argument that they're still doing that with their Chrome Dome, and I would say that I understand that argument, but we don't get a whole lot out of season 3 anymore, and the season 4 stuff has been touch and go, to say the least. But we're seeing Jazzes, Mirages, Huffers, we know that a Prime is eventually coming, Cliff Jumper, etc., etc., and I'm not mad at them for doing those characters. I just don't like when all of it becomes focused on those characters, because those characters get played out. There's also a wide spectrum of the fan base that's really just interested in season 1 and 2, and when they have their stuff, they're gonna leave. But when you sprinkle in the season 3 and season 4 stuff, sometimes the season 1 and 2 people get tricked into buying it. And I know that sounds awful, but it's true. And look, I know that sounds selfish, but it's actually not. It's actually the opposite that's being selfish. The truth is, the guys that are in for like the core cast, they're always going to get those figures. Hell, those figures are already available through different companies. I understand wanting them all to be Fanstoys, but like those figures will come. The collectors like us that have a lot more obscure taste and want the little nuance and niche characters, our days may not come. But they're certainly not going to come once they get all of your stuff out of the way. They're only going to come if they can sprinkle them throughout in order to keep sort of consumer engagement. But once again, it seems like Fanstoys following suit as opposed to carving out their own way. Once again, I love Fanstoys because they were Fanstoys, not because they were trying to be anyone else. And reason number 3 should come to no one as any surprise, and that is their inability to complete combiners. And yes, I'm just as happy and excited as you are to have seen the recent Superion images, and I have faith that they're working on it. But buying a combiner is a commitment from a customer. It's a customer going in on a purchase piece by piece to achieve a goal. And there's an unspoken agreement between customer and producer that that goal will be achieved. It's an investment. I like the aerial bots as much as anyone else, but I certainly wouldn't get an air raid on its own. I'm only interested in air raid if I can get the other 4. And when I first reviewed their Stunticons, I said, this feels heavy, arguably too heavy. And I think that I ended up being right on that. And I'm sure they're trying to solve those problems. But at the very least, let us know. Give a little bit back to the people that are giving you everything. Now, they don't owe us anything for most of their releases. They have a Blitzwing that's been announced for years, still hasn't seen the light of day. They don't owe us that. But that doesn't mean that there's no blood on their hands either. I know people that have put money in pre-orders for that Blitzwing to distribution companies that have now folded. That means money lost. That's not about entitlement in a sort of hashtag way. That's about paying something and being entitled for what you paid for. The same thing kind of goes for the combiners, except it's a bit more interesting. It's a bit more complicated because you're spending $100, $200, $300 plus dollars, or for the Stunticons, $400 plus dollars, only for the $500 thing to pay off. But the $400 thing is arguably worthless. Once again, I don't mean to say that they're not going to complete it. I have every ounce of faith that they will, but I think they should let us know what's going on, and should have let us know what's going on. I know that if I was I'm putting out something now, right? I'm selling something now. I mentioned it at the beginning of this video. If you guys had to give me monthly installments of $100 or whatever it was, I would not just disappear on you after 3. You know, I would tell you what was up because I would care about your business. But it's that sort of approach that has just added insult to injury in the other 2 aspects in regards to how I feel about the company. And look, a lot of people give Fanstoys, in my opinion, unwarranted grief over their release schedule, saying like, oh, this figure's going to come out in 30, 35. Like, Fanstoys is one of the most prolific companies out there. They release figures regularly. I don't think that's a fair criticism of them, but I do think not doing anything about these combiners seemingly I know we got the Superion news, but seemingly is a bit of a crime. They should address it. They should address us. We shouldn't have to wait 3 years. And those are the reasons why I have fallen out of love with Fanstoys. Still think they're the best company doing it. Still a fan. Still will be buying and reviewing their products. I just don't love them anymore. The honeymoon phase is over. And you might say, well, I don't care who you love. And I would say, that was a weird choice of a video to watch. But it's also fair. This one's not about you. It's about me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.